Hello. In the last section, we understood about basic of marketing analytics, why marketing analytics matters, what is business analytics, big data, types of data analytics and drivers of analytics. In this video we will discuss about marketing environment, types of analysis, parametric and non-parametric test, hypothesis, null and alternate hypothesis, sampling, data collection primary and secondary, types of data sets, t-test and types of t-test. Just a quick reminder, why marketing analytics matters. In order to quantify your claims. Turn raw data into useful information. Compare your data. Stay goal-oriented. To understand the consumer better. Trend analysis. Types of analysis, parametric and non-parametric test. Parametric test, in statistics, a parametric test is a kind of hypothesis test which gives generalizations for generating records regarding the mean of the primary/original population. The t-test is carried out based on the student's t-statistic, which is often used in that value. Non-parametric test does not require any population distribution, which is meant by distinct parameters. It is also a kind of hypothesis test, which is not based on the underlying hypothesis. In the case of the non-parametric test, the test is based on the differences in the median. So this kind of test is also called a distribution-free test. Types of parametric test. One sample t-test. Through this test, the comparison between the specified value and meaning of a single group of observations is done. Unpaired two sample t-test. The test is performed to compare the two means of two independent samples. These samples came from the normal populations having the same or unknown variances. Paired two sample t-test. In the case of paired data of observations from a single sample, the paired two sample t-test is used. ANOVA analysis of variance is used when the difference in the mean values of more than two groups is given. One-way ANOVA. This test is useful when different testing groups differ by only one factor. Two-way ANOVA. When various testing groups differ by two or more factors, then a two-way ANOVA test is used. Pearson's correlation coefficient. This coefficient is the estimation of the strength between two variables. The test is used in finding the relationship between two continuous and quantitative variables. Z-test. The test helps measure the difference between two means. Z-proportionality test. It is used in calculating the difference between two proportions. Applications of parametric tests. This test is used when the given data is quantitative and continuous. When the data is of normal distribution, then this test is used. The parametric tests are helpful when the data is estimated on the approximate ratio or interval scales of measurement. Types of non-parametric test. One sample sign test. In this test, the median of a population is calculated and is compared to the target value or reference value. One sample Wilcoxon signed rank test. Through this test also, the population median is calculated and compared with the target value, but the data used is extracted from the symmetric distribution. Friedman test. The difference of the groups having ordinal dependent variables is calculated. This test is used for continuous data. Goodman-Kruska's gamma. It is a group test used for ranked variables. Kruskal-Wallis test. This test is used when two or more medians are different. For the calculations in this test, ranks of the data points are used. The Mann-Kendall trend test. The test helps in finding the trends in time series data. Mann-Whitney test. To compare differences between two independent groups, this test is used. The condition used in this test is that the dependent values must be continuous or ordinal. Moods median test. This test is used when there are two independent samples. Spearman rank correlation. This technique is used to estimate the relation between two sets of data. Applications of non-parametric tests. These tests are used in the case of solid mixing to study the sampling results. The tests are helpful when the data is estimated with different kinds of measurement scales. The non-parametric tests are used when the distribution of the population is unknown. The key difference between parametric and non-parametric test is that the parametric test relies on statistical distributions in data, whereas non-parametric do not depend on any distribution. Non-parametric does not make any assumptions and measures the central tendency with the median value. Hypothesis. Hypothesis is a testable statement about the relationship between two or more variables or a proposed explanation for some observed phenomenon. In other words, hypothesis is an assumption which we want to prove or disapprove. H0 is called null hypothesis, considered as equal to. H1, H2, H3 is called alternate hypothesis, considered as not equal to. Sampling. When you conduct research about a group of people, it's rarely possible to collect data from every person in that group. Instead, you select a sample. The sample is the group of individuals who will actually participate in the research. To draw valid conclusions from your results, you have to carefully decide how you will select a sample that is representative of the group as a whole. This is called a sampling method. There are two primary types of sampling methods that you can use in your research. Probability sampling involves random selection, allowing you to make strong statistical inferences about the whole group. Non-probability sampling involves non-random selection based on convenience or other criteria, allowing you to easily collect data. Sample size determination. First method is standard deviation, SD, a statistical that measures the dispersion of a dataset relative to its mean and is calculated as the square root of the variance. Second one is using proportion method. A proportion is an equation in which two ratios are set equal to each other. Third one, easiest one, using surveymonkey.com, in which we mention the population size, confidence level or level of significance we are having ranging from 90 to 99% depend on case to case and margin of error ranging from 2 to 5%, which helps to determine sample size. Data collection. Data collection method can be divided into following. Primary data, data that has been generated by the researcher himself/herself, surveys, interviews, experiments, specially designed for understanding and solving the research problem at hand. Primary data is more reliable and accurate. Secondary data, using existing data generated by large government institutions, healthcare facilities, etc. as part of organizational record keeping. The data is then extracted from more varied data files. Secondary data is relatively less reliable and accurate. Data sets. In statistics, there are 4 data measurement scales: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. These are simply ways to subcategorize different types of data. Nominal variables are used to name or label a series of values. Ordinal scales provide good information about the order of choices, such as in a customer satisfaction survey. Interval scales give us the order of values plus the ability to quantify the difference between each one. Finally, ratio scales give us the ultimate order, interval values, plus the ability to calculate ratios since a true zero can be defined. Now, let's go through t-test. When we have to compare the mean of two groups or samples, we perform t-test. Types of t-test. 1. Simple t-test, when we compare mean of group to predetermined number. 2. Independent sample t-test, when we compare mean of two independent samples, there is no predetermined number. For example, comparing two branches, two school sections A and B. 3. Paired sample t-test, when we compare same sample twice, example difference in sales figures before and after training. Limitation with t-test is that it can compare only two groups. For more than two groups we use ANOVA and MANOVA. ANOVA is analysis of variance. MANOVA is multivariate analysis of variance with more than two dependent variables. In ANOVA, criteria is one, more than two groups. Whereas in two-way ANOVA, criteria is two, more than two groups. To perform t-test in Excel, just go to the Data tab, select Data Analysis. There are options available out which select t-test, ANOVA, ANOVA two-factor with or without replication. Earlier in this section, we discussed about null and alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis I.E equal to, considered when value of p that is probability is greater than 0.05. Alternate hypothesis I.E not equal to, is considered when value of p is less than 0.05. In this video we have discussed about marketing environment. We will understand in details other important sections in upcoming videos. Thank you.